Bonjour. No, I don't speak French, but I do have a French middle name, which is also the same name as my guest today. Eric is a music producer in Hawaii. He's not from Hawaii. He's born in Paris, France. We get into that. I love having these kinds of conversations with people who have an international experience. As you know, I love speaking with our international brothers and sisters out there. Eric is one of them. He's made his home here in Hawaii. He is a music producer. He has a long list of artists he works with as a creative who is in very much the driver's seat of the business of creativity. We get into the nitty gritty of how musicians get paid. This is a topic that goes not only for people who make music, but for people who make anything. If you are participating in a digital economy today, there's something that you can take away from this conversation with Eric. I didn't know a lot of things that we talked about. In fact, I didn't even get to the things I wanted to question him about because I was learning so much about this other side, the business side of making money, monetizing music, which is to say monetizing creativity online today. So if you are a music producer, if you are a videographer, if you are a business who's looking to increase their presence, there's something to take away from this. There is a lot of gems. Some of them we left on the table because we just couldn't fit it into our time frame. However, next time we have Eric on, we're going to talk about where our worlds collide, which is video and music. Are you like me? Do you have multiple subscriptions to multiple royalty-free services where you can type in genre, tempo, instrumentals, vocals only? You can maybe pull out stems. I talked to him after this podcast about stems and how I use music, how I see it when I'm making videos, which sparked a bunch of new ideas on his end of how he can play into that ecosystem, the videographer's ecosystem, right? Maybe we're on the verge of creating something new. Maybe our conversation will spark an idea in your head. Better yet, you've already done something adjacent to what we're talking about. Maybe we're late to the party that you started. Whatever the case, net positive for our creatives out there. Today, it's not even like the Wild Wild West anymore. It's the world. It's the wild, wild world right now where anything is possible and new rules are being made every single day. I should say old rules are getting broken every day. New rules are getting made every day. And also, like, there are no rules. There's so many more avenues for so many more people today, more than ever. There are no rules. Just get busy. Get out there. Put it out there. Get busy. That's what 100 Bad Videos is all about, as you know, because you've been rocking with us this whole time. Eric is out here giving us gems about how to do it smartly. Tune in. This is Eric DuBois. DuBois. Je veux un café. Merci. No, don't.
Got to.
DuBois.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, let's just open it up there. Eric DuBois.
Yes.
I have a personal affinity just because I share the same French name as this gentleman right here.
Ouais.
It's my middle name. I don't speak French. This guy's French. We'll get into that. We'll get into all the background. I know him as a music guy, and that's a very broad term. It doesn't do it justice. Like if I'm a video guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's where we really connected with that creativity. Like our outputs are different, but they're very much overlapped.
Yeah.
So I think about music very differently than you do, and you think about video differently than I do, but it's all part of the same picture. And at the end of the day, the audience doesn't even know these kind of levels of detail. And so we can get nerdy. We can get into a lot of the things that, you know, make you, you. And I have personal questions that I love asking anybody I know who's like proficient with sound.
I'm ready for
not just language,
Yeah.
but synthetic sounds, natural sounds, manipulating sounds,
Yeah.
making rhythms and patterns, because I love patterns. So we're going to get into that. Also, I want to get into that sort of business side of it, like that I don't know. We talked about a few times. Shout out to the homie Justin, who we both know, who basically connected us.
Yep.
And I remember that initial conversation was at Sand Island,
Yeah.
somewhere, right?
It was
Remember
at
that?
the park.
And then what you guys were talking about kind of opened this whole new door to me as far as how to monetize money, how to monetize sounds. That's how I came away. It's like, oh, that's interesting. So I definitely want to get into that. Your collab with SZA and all of that.
That was
The
that's
tea, the Tazo tea.
Tasso tea. That was one of the biggest. Yeah, that was cool.
So
But
let's get into that.
Yeah.
And besides that, like I I want to know if you have any kind of questions for me too.
I do, because we do basically the same thing, but from a different angle. So you're always thinking more of the video side, and I'm always thinking more of the music side. So as an artist, and especially when it comes down to trying to monetize your music, we need our music in the background of your videos. So I'm always curious on, how do you look for music?
Oh.
Are you editing the video prior? Do you edit the video with the music? Do you find it first? Things like that that would help us kind of market our music in
Yeah.
more
So
hands.
hopefully this conversation is, one, the first of many,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Two, like now he knows how to get here. So
Yeah, no, I know. I
that
didn't
was-
mess up. I messed up the bus, and yeah,
Don't
Google
worry,
Maps, don't trust
It's
it.
not your fault. The first of many, but also I hope this conversation is valuable for people like us, right? And chime in the comments, please, with the things that we don't know. And like, let's not pretend like we out here gurus knowing everything.
YouTube school.
We just, yeah, you got a YouTube channel. There's so much to jump into.
Oh, yeah, there's a we
Your
gotta talk about a lot
YouTube,
of
your
things.
Twitch, your streaming, everything.
Yeah, we got to go into every
Your van.
Yup,
You know
the
what I'm saying?
van,
Like-
the van.
People on Instagram, is that? Well, that's Instagram, but that's from Twitch. So it's all connected. Let's jump in.
All linked.
Let's start with you, Eric.
Yeah,
No background.
born and raised in France. My dad's French, my mom's American, so that's why I don't have the cool French accent. This is a phrase I've been practicing for years and years. I
People
say it
ask
to
you right
everyone.
away.
Yeah. I don't have the cool French accent because my mom is American, so she would teach me and my sister since I was a kid to just pass me the salt in English. She wouldn't even reply if we didn't speak in English, which is good. And I
Really?
don't, yeah. So
In France, she was doing this.
yeah, back in France.
Okay.
At the table, it was always, yeah, that's why I liked also your podcast with Eileen. When we were
Yes.
talking about the different languages and all that.
Yeah.
So that was always how it was in my house growing up. My mom would always talk in English, my dad always in French, and we would have to flip languages to whoever we wanted to talk to.
Who you have siblings?
Yeah, me and a twin sister. I have
Oh,
a twin sister
nice.
who has two nephews, still back in France. And yeah, so I was there until I was 24. I played rock and roll when I was a punk rock band. Started playing guitar and like when I was like 14 in high school, junior high, and started a band with my best friends. Played in it for almost 10 years. Went up to Paris, and just that was my first notion of music. So it was really Blink 182 and that
Okay,
kind of cool
okay.
harmony kind of punk rock stuff.
So
And
guitar though was your first.
guitar was my
choice.
big, yeah. Guitar
Okay.
is my main thing. I never took any lessons or anything. I could just learn online, especially back at that time. There was no
Wait, how old are you?
Born in 89, I'm 34.
Okay. I was like, wait,
So
are you
YouTube-
a digital native, baby? But okay.
No, but back then you would get guitar tabs. And
Tabs.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
They're still now, but not as popular. Before there was like a software called like guitar tabs or guitar pro tabs or something like that. I don't know, but we had that and we would share these tabs with each other, and that's how we would write music too as a band. We would write the tabs out first and
Really?
then share it out to the band members. I have to remember what that program was called, what that software was called.
Wait, you wrote the music
Yeah.
in terms of like when I think tabs, I'm thinking like it's a shot of the. I don't even know the part of the guitar. Sorry,
Yeah.
music folks. You like this dude? Don't I don't. The guitar thing with the lines,
the frets.
and then the dots.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Not necessarily like piano music, but you,
exactly. Yeah. So it's nothing to do with sheet music because it might look similar, but it's just the strings. So it's very visual and it shows you where to put your finger. Like put your finger
Exactly.
one, put your finger
That-
index on square 1, square 3, or whatever. And so in that case, it's that software was just really easy to be able to create those tabs and be
Gotcha.
able to do it. And
Gotcha.
so it might have. That's actually when I think about it. Now you're making me think about it. It's kind of like the first music software that I've used, because then it's really similar to the digital audio workstation that I work with now.
it's Ableton hat, isn't it?
Yes,
I noticed that.
Ableton.
Ableton, my bad.
Ableton gang. Yes, Ableton is one of the digital audio workstations that studios use to record music or record sounds or anything you can make arrangements. So there's a bunch. There's Fruity Loops back in the day. Now it's called FL Studio, or Pro Tools, which is more commonly used in big studio sessions. So it's always important to kind of learn a little bit all of it. But yeah, I got into it when I left France when I was like 24. Met a girl, moved to Argentina, and I didn't have a visa. And so I was making music on the same kind of way. So on the computer, just making a bunch of beats and instrumentals and stuff from my like band days. And I just needed to make some money somehow. And so my ex at the time told me, well, just try to sell them online or try to like figure it out. You don't have a visa, it can't really officially work, but maybe
I know how that is.
yeah.
I know how that hustle is. Okay.
So it's done, and it's hard for me as like being American and French. So I have the French passport and I have the American passport. Never had any issues when it comes to visas or being a tourist anywhere. Never had any problems. And in Argentina was the first time where I had to kind of think about visas. Like, oh, you're right, I'm not allowed to work here. Oh, I'm only allowed to stay here 3 months. How am I going to stay here 3 years if I'm only allowed to be here 3 months? And so, but that's how it kind of got me into the grind and like the hustle and kind of try to figure out. Plus, Argentines are great. I have that question.
What's that?
Do we say Argentines or Argentinians?
You the one live there, homie. I'm looking at you.
I always say Argentine. I'm fully confident in saying Argentine, but everyone sometimes always asks me or looks and like, isn't it Argentinian or?
See, I hear both and I don't even think about it.
Okay.
But then again, I'm an American who's never been to South America.
See, I'm trying to infiltrate. I'm trying to, what is the word? That's what I love about Hawaii too. There's so many different cultures that it's so easy to just feel integrated.
There's a lot more grace too. Like if you mess up with Argentinian or
Argentine,
like people would just be all right because they probably heard 3 other versions too here.
Exactly. But people that are not from here are a little more like, I think you say Argentinian, or they were correct. But I started selling online there and learning a little bit how to the business of music in Argentina.
So I didn't know that about you, that in this period where you are unofficially, the 90-day visa, I've lived that life for many years, right?
Yeah.
I can just leave that country and just go to this. I can have a layover in another country as long as I like come back in immigration, right? So it's like the least amount of money that it takes for me to do that to stay in this country legally.
Yep.
But then I have to work kind of under the radar.
Yeah, you can't do too much.
Gray zone.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything that like puts me on the map.
Yep.
So in that kind of pressure cooker, you found out how to monetize.
Yeah.
Which is now I'm thinking about like that's the same thing for me.
Yeah.
I was in that same like international pressure cooker, 90-day visa, in and out, in and out, in and out. But then I'm figuring out how to do edits with this camera, with that camera. I'm learning. I'm on YouTube University.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm thinking, okay, who's doing what?
Yep.
How can I monetize my skill?
Yeah.
And at that time, I think a lot of us creatives have this kind of, it's not even a skill yet.
Yeah.
It's an interest.
Yep.
So we're trying to monetize our interest.
Yep.
And I think we see that reflected in a lot of people's pricing.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, if I'm like the client, it's like, I think, well, I'm just paying for you to learn.
Yeah.
Versus, that's why it's X amount of hours or time. One of those is going to be exorbitantly high.
100.
For someone who's trying to monetize an interest.
Yeah.
But then with someone who's like past the interest stage and they're just monetizing skills, craft, art, like that part, then it's like you're okay with an exorbitant amount of either one of those.
Exactly.
Because you're getting, you know what you're getting.
Yep.
So like this kind of, I don't know, what do you say, like cutting your teeth or there's all kind of phrases for it, but like just you went through yours in Argentina.
Yep.
And then how was that? Like how did you start monetizing music online?
I felt it was a little bit easier because I was in Argentina and speaking only English. So the videos that I made was in English and I had a little mate or something from Argentina. And so it's just much more cool, apparently. And what just helped
you got
out.
The exotic factor.
Yeah, the exotic factor, which was cool. Gotcha. And actually it's now down the road, and this is back in 2014, so this is almost 10 years. 10 years in the making. YouTube channel I started 10 years ago.
Wow, we almost got the same timelines.
Yeah, and things are starting, and you're feeling it now that things are starting to pick up. And so that's exactly what I think is that's the YouTube University. That's those 5 years that you need to just constantly make stuff and just put it out and try. And so I had Argentina for 3 years to do that, and I wasn't making much. I think I spent like maybe like 10 hours on this one instrumentation, like this custom beat for this one client, and that I got on Upwork. Upwork is great for freelancers, by the way.
Yeah.
And $50 only.
There you
go.
No
rights, no publishing, none of the music business side on it. Just $50 straight. We're good. And there's a lot of those. So there's a lot of those at the beginning, and that's why what you're saying about monetizing the skill, and then you monetize your learning curve. So that's where I made the switch. Like the YouTube was really the learning curve. Is like just Oh, I learned this cool trick. I haven't seen this is cool. Let me just share this. And
Yeah.
it also really helped me. I'm a really shy guy, and YouTube really helped me get the confidence to kind of talk and
That's
be
a whole
better on the
different thing,
camera.
isn't it?
It's so important. It's
Are
so
you are
important.
you one of those guys who like doesn't like to hear your own voice?
Yeah, I don't.
But you're not, aren't you used to it by now? I mean,
I'm used to it, but then I feel like I'm too. Then you overthink it, and then I think all creatives are kind of like perfectionists in a way too. So if something feels like out of your control, you're kind of like get a little OCD on it, and
I,
and so
that,
me, it's just the same thing.
that's why that's the bad. That's the bad in 100 bad videos. I have to say it over and over again, but it's okay to be not good,
Yeah.
not perfect, not polished.
Yep.
That's the whole thing with the bad part. 100 bad videos. 100 is just the consistency part that you're talking
Yes.
about. Let's just have an objective goal to reach, not something that's like when I feel like this, like when
Yeah.
I feel ready.
Yeah.
Like no, because that's
Exactly.
you're always gonna find an
Or
excuse
I need
not
the
to.
cool microphone, or I need the
When
cool camera.
you can count to 100. So if I just show up 100 times, what I'm hearing is, oh man, this kind of jumps into the next question, which I want to
Yeah, I
get
think
there
we.
because you're the guy to ask. You said you made 50 bucks on Upwork. You didn't get publishing or something.
Yeah, none of the
But
business
I
stuff.
want you to go ahead, explain it to me, describe it to me and for everyone. Like, what is publishing, copyright, sync, um, all the things that
Yeah.
really are at the foundation of monetizing music,
Yeah, creative, like creativity, copyrights and all
distribution,
that. Yeah,
yeah, all of that. So
is
how do you?
so in music and video, it's kind of like the same way. Any type of art form that you do, it kind of monetize in the same. There's cohesiveness in like all the monetizations. But for music in particular, if you're starting to get it, if you really want to get into the depth of it, you have streaming, which is now considered the album sales, right? Back in the day, instead of selling CDs, so you don't have to print CDs or anything like that. So you can do it directly through streaming. Now, when it comes to that, we're getting paid royalties off of our creative ownership and our creative. Um, so there's two sides of a song when it comes to royalties. The first part is what's called the master recording, which is the actual audio that you're listening. So who's singing, who's the voice that you're hearing, who's the guitarist that's playing, who mixed it, stuff like that. So that's the mastering side. And then you have what's called the publishing, which is the creative, the intellectual property. Who wrote the notes? Who wrote the lyrics? Who found that chord progression or that melody line? And so those are two sides of a song that get paid pretty much the same. Usually in the independent world, we're all the same person pretty much. If you're just a singer songwriter, then you're gonna get the mastering side from streaming and all that, and then you're gonna get your intellectual property side from publishing. So that's where a lot of artists don't know about, and that's where I kind of hop in, is because how I make my money. I only make money now from royalties, and very rarely from an upfront fee, or let's do a session, or let's charge my time for something. I only want to make my money royalty based.
Is
So
is that the
monetized.
publishing side?
That's the publishing
Okay.
side. Publishing and master. So if, for example, you play music a little bit.
Negative.
Negative. Okay, let's say you sing in the shower, right? And
Yeah.
I put a microphone and I'm recording you singing.
Yeah.
But you're singing a song, you're singing a Taylor Swift song in the shower.
Okay.
The master recording, that audio recording, you're getting paid for that because you're the singer. Now, the intellectual property and the publishing side of it is Taylor Swift is going to get that because she wrote the song, or whoever, how many writers are on there. So in order to find out who's on, every artist, whenever they make a song with someone, they have to make what's called a split sheet. And a split sheet allows you to assign this percentage to this percentage to that person. You wrote the lyrics, here's the name. And you have to be registered to the proper societies in order to collect that.
Does that apply? Like, so I'm thinking already, what about international boundaries with the way that you can hear
Exactly.
sounds in music nowadays?
Exactly. So you have to do that same process in every single country. So that's where it's called, you have publishing companies that can give you a publishing deal and they'll take care of that. You have other websites that allow you to do it independently that are just song administration. And so in the United States, you probably heard this, you probably heard BMI or ASCAP or CSAC. Those are what's called collection societies, performance rights organizations. And so they are the ones, it's both, I know BMI is a nonprofit. It's free to sign up. It's just to register as an artist and be able to collect your intellectual property and your right and your publishing. And so even if you have songs on streaming, you're still collecting that publishing side if you wrote the song. But if you're not registered, you're not collecting anything. And so that's where your brain kind of explodes. And that's why 3 years in Argentina, kind of learning in this and just diving in and trying different things and making a bunch of different mistakes.
It sounds automatically like a lot of creatives who are whatever singing in the shower or whatever.
Yeah.
They're leaving a lot of money on the table.
Yeah.
Just because they're not registered in XYZ kind of place. And then it kind of makes me think, well, that's where the value of having a manager comes into play, where it's like, don't you just keep creating, I'll keep getting us paid. I could see that kind of. The split sheet also makes sense. I mean, I think about the real estate industry automatically, where you have agreements and splits, right? And so everyone knows that there's an agreement beforehand, right? Or in the process of creating some kind of transaction or value, right?
Exactly. There's always going to be.
But there's always and I go to social media because, like, I wish I had a specific example, but let's say an incident happens and that gets turned into a meme / someone else samples it.
Yeah.
So when that happens, like, that was me on my phone recording my daughters at the park, but their laughter I heard on Kanye's track. Like, what happened? I'm not an artist. I'm not registered. Like,
So that's a little bit more tricky, and that's where lawyers are really important. That's where it's important to really know the business and how everything kind of works. So in that particular situation, you recorded that audio. That audio recording is yours.
Okay.
So Kanye might have grabbed it, made it into a song, but he didn't contact you to ask you if you could use it. So in that case, you have the upper hand on the situation. So you can say either to Kanye, take down the song, that's my sound, or just completely remove the sound. And so that's why you have a bunch of different lawsuits happening with different artists for those kind of things. And there's a fine line now with AI and AI voice. And there's even like samples. In the music world, so that sample clearance, what it's called, and exactly what you're saying right there is just asking you for the authorization, is 80% of the business. Like my time, I do maybe 20% is making music. And then the other 80% is just sending out emails to all the collaborators and making sure that they're set here. Do I have authorization for this? I need to hit you up if I can get this song placed for, I don't know, an Adidas commercial. Then I need to be able to contact you. I need to be able to ask you for permission, or you sign over your rights to me to be able to make those decisions. So there's a lot of paperwork involved, and there's a lot of stuff that you got to have it handled prior in order to get those deals. Because you're a video guy.
Yeah.
So you're looking for a song, you find a song that you want to do, and you're calling up the artist or the guy responsible for the song, and he's like, oh, I'll hit you back in a week with okay, nah, I'll use another song. Bye. Peace out. And so that's what happened to me many times because I didn't have my stuff set. And so,
well, I'll tell you right now, like, a lot. So it depends on the kind of content, right? So this, for example, I don't need any sound at all for this kind of stuff, right? I don't have an intro. I've been thinking about asking. So like in this case, I would ask someone, maybe you could do it.
Yeah.
Like, what do you call them?
Jingles.
Like the of Joe Rogan.
Okay.
Like a sound,
sound bites?
Sound signature is what I think of it as, but there's probably a different term. It's like if I hear it, I don't even have to see it, but I know what you're watching.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, I've been thinking about implementing here and like making it, Fivering it, Upworking it, whatever the case. Yeah. But then because I'm not at your end of this in your realm, I go through sites such as Fiverr, Upwork, Artlist.io,
Artlist is a good one.
MusicBed,
Epidemic Sound.
All of them. Story Blocks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like all of the stock kind of places where, you know, their homepage that you land on is going to be like, we support the artists, and, you know, they kind of boast their splits with the artists, and you know what I mean?
However they want to say it.
I'm a bit skeptical, but still, for me on my end, it makes it easier. It's more convenient for me.
You don't have to handle that whole side. You don't.
Everything you just said, I'm like, that's why I pay X amount per month.
No, but you're 100% right, and that's what we are as artists competing against in a way. Either you play the game, you join them, and you pitch your music to those companies and get placed there. Now, your rights and your clearance and your samples and all that better be really top notch and clear, because if you use a song from there and you get a YouTube claim, oof. You're gonna yell over at Epidemic. You're gonna tell them, "Hey, what's this?" They're gonna yell at us, the artists, and it's like really bad. Reputation is everything in this kind of like place, and so you really have to be clear on everything, and you can't. We have a big issue with YouTube Content ID. That's becoming more and more. Back in my day when I first started, YouTube Content ID was just getting there, and so it was a really good deal for the producers and the beat makers that were just making a bunch of instrumentals and putting them up on YouTube, and people were reusing those. So it was a really good thing. But when it came to what's called the sync licensing world and getting songs really placed into like the trailer of the next Marvel movie,
Yes.
those were,
Syncing is huge.
yeah,
That's-
we're talking
yeah.
big money. And even for small things like that small Instagram ad that I did, and we'll get into it like a little bit later, it's like $5,000 out of nowhere just because you made that song and just to rent. But that's,
But there was probably some kind of process that got it discovered,
Yep.
which may be the distribution conversation. But because when I think of, for example, Shazam,
yeah, Shazam is a great way to think it.
Shazam, right? I'm like, what is that song? Boom, Shazam.
Shazam it.
Again, it comes down to convenience.
Yeah.
Time saving.
Yeah.
Like if I need to know now, so I can search it and grab it. And
Yeah.
if whatever my search leads to, whether it's like this site where I pay this person or this
Yeah.
site where I already have a subscription,
Yeah.
I need to know the title and artist.
Yeah.
So being on Shazam alone is sort of like a golden ticket in some ways
Yeah.
for my process. So if you're as an artist are not there versus another artist who is, that's the difference between you getting 5K, for example, and somebody else not.
Yeah.
Which is when we're in that zone again of like grinding and hustling. That's huge.
Exactly.
So I mean, how would you even get on into these kind of it feels like there's gatekeepers still, is what I'm trying to get to.
yeah. But consistency can help you like pass those gatekeepers. If you're still showing up with a new song or a new video, 100 videos, you keep showing up, then those gatekeepers will kind of let you through in a way. And so it's when music is the same as I think any creative is kind of the same, but you have to collect pennies from everywhere.
Gotcha.
Collect a bunch of pennies from all these different sources, all these different websites, and all these different areas, but you have to be on them, you collect them. And so like that, at least you start getting some money and you'll be able to make a living off of it.
Is that what you spent? So that 80% of your work?
Yeah, is collecting those pennies. Is making sure the songs are registered in the right place. You've uploaded this song to the right website, and you've uploaded it again to like 5 other websites. You added in another 50 keywords. Each website uses different keywords. And you got to write the mood of the song and the BPM. You got to write down the names of the writers. You don't have the right email. You got to hit them back. You got to do this for like, and you got to do this for like 50 songs in a month. And so you're just, it just gets a lot. But if you don't do it, you don't get paid. And in the music world, you get paid already. Royalties get sent out and paid out like 3 to 4 months afterwards. So already, like all the, I had some van issues 3-4 months ago, and so I didn't work as much. Now I'm feeling it now. So now it's like the royalty checks from Spotify are way lower than usual because those 3 months back in December, January, I didn't do much. I didn't release much music, and so now you hit that, and that's, I think, like only music really gets that, because YouTube is pretty straight on. I don't think you have to wait too much.
Well, the cool thing about YouTube is that no matter what you're doing, if you're a music guy or a video guy, you show up. The thing is, there is like YouTube AdSense is a happy consequence.
Yeah.
Versus, the money that you could be making through monetizing whatever it is you're selling.
Yeah.
You don't even you could be selling a 13-page ebook.
Yeah.
And you just read a paragraph every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't really matter what you're doing as long as you're present and you're participating enough. And you have the option of someone saying, I like what you're saying or doing or reviewing or reacting, whatever. Click down the funnel, make a transaction. That kind of monetization, I think, is what most YouTube creators are getting paid for.
Yeah.
Versus YouTube's fucking AdSense money coming into your bank account, direct deposit every month.
Yeah.
Both are great, but I think for the person who's not monetized yet on the channel, right? I don't have my 1,000 subs, 4,000 hours, whatever. You can still make $5,000 through being discovered.
Exactly.
So as that kind of almost democratization of content, and sort of like in the most utopian sense, like YouTube has allowed creators to bypass every gatekeeper in the most like best way. In that sense, then you can get your voice out there. You can be discovered. You can actually have a lead that you can convert and then monetize. That can happen today if you start a YouTube channel.
Yep.
That's the cool part about YouTube that I really enjoy. And it goes for literally any kind of commerce.
Yeah, 100%.
So
anything.
It don't matter.
Any type of business.
But what
the thing that's interesting about you and your YouTube channel and Twitch, like streaming, is you're giving so much value to the people, your tribe.
Yeah, I'm
And
trying.
and hey, no, you're doing it. Even that I forgot, I don't, what is it, the sound trader? Am I
Song
making
Trader.
that? Sound
Yeah,
trader.
yeah,
Your video on there of you like reacting to when SZA, your guys collab.
yeah.
I watch other people's ones too.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, my boy Eric got the most views in here. You know what I'm saying?
That's what
I was
I'm
like,
trying to showcase.
But maybe I didn't go as far as to look at everybody's YouTube presence.
Yeah, no.
You already have a YouTube presence.
Yeah.
I think
It's that YouTube school already making those videos, I think also made me a little more interesting to watch. Maybe if I talk better, and other artists are really back down and quiet, and that's also part of like being a producer, is that artist development side. So if I work with a young artist, I gotta, all the mistakes that I've made, I have to help them kind of like speed track through there, and so really help them get. So I'm working with a poet and who's called Shamar. I'm trying to remember his artist name, and we're working on his stage presence when it comes to reading out poetry, because he would just read through his poetry super fast, and just so the fact of being able to be good on camera, or at least get some experience, cause then it just comes. Like right now, I know I can't look at the little screen because then it looks weird on the thing.
oh yeah, this man,
You know,
yeah, you know what's
'cause-
up.
And you
Look
know
at
how
the
to,
lens,
yeah,
right?
you learn how to edit videos, so you know to like make a little pause if you mess up or things like that. So that comes by doing, and yeah, the music world, you have to learn everything. And music is so easy to do that everyone should do it, and it's not that hard to be monetized. It's not that hard to make money.
So would you say, for the person who's like, I like music, like 10-year ago Eric,
Yeah.
right? I just picked up my guitar, I'm looking at tabs or the equivalent
Yeah.
today, right? Or I have my YouTube channels that I follow, whatever.
Yeah.
How do you say to that person, okay, go monetize? Go monetize. Like,
Yeah.
here's a roadmap. You can simple it, you could dumb it down
Yeah.
to YouTube.
So the roadmap is you got to be on every single social media platform. There's no rules on how much you have to post or how much you have. And I'm saying this, I'm not making like, I was able to make a living, like $2,000 a month off music a year ago, pre-COVID. And then when COVID came through, that kind of took me out, because studio sessions were getting.
Time out. You said a year ago, but that's like 3 years ago.
I know.
It
Van
feels
life,
like that.
van
Yeah,
life
I know.
is
Pre-COVID
totally
actually
lost.
was 3.
That's true. That was 3 years ago. Oh,
yeah.
dang. Yeah, so it's been a rough patch.
Feels like a
after
year.
that.
I got
Yeah,
you.
it feels like, well, yeah, it feels more like 3 years. And so, but you have to be on every single social media platform. You have to test out every single website. You have to learn the business. That's the first thing. So be on every social media platform, post content. Don't try out all the different YouTube videos that tell you like how to reach and grow or whatever. I did them all. And some worked, some didn't work, but you'll just figure out what works. And I've been stuck. I've been plateauing for the past 3 years. Since COVID, I've been kind of plateauing on my followers, because you still have to. Justin is really good with that, and I would love to have one podcast with Justin, because he knows everything about marketing. And you have to find what's your thing, what makes you unique. Like the American with drinking an Argentine mate on YouTube kind of works over there. And here we have Hawaii, which is a great backdrop. There's a lot of things that we can do here. But get on every social media platform, learn the business, upload, and then be patient and just keep doing it. Keep doing it. Because that song, so the big things that happened to me throughout this like 10-year process was that one placement for Tasso Tea, which is actually having my music in the background of an Instagram ad. It's not like a big TV. It's not on TV. It's nothing. It's just this 30-second or 1-minute Instagram ad. And I think it was aired for like, not aired, but it was running for like 6 months. So when it comes to music making, you're kind of renting your song to them. So they hit me up and they said, hey, we want to use your song for this project. Would you give us the right? We're going to use it for 6 months. It's an Instagram. It's only going to be posted in the US. It might go Europe, maybe not. And we're willing to pay $5,000 for this contract. And then if they want to renew it, then they can renew it. And then we can renegotiate another thing. And so the fact that I got this email out of nowhere, just because I was on this website, just because I uploaded the beat on it, just because, which was already like 2 years prior. So
There
the
you
beat
go.
was already done like a long time ago. It was uploaded a long time ago, but I just waited. I just kept that website up. I just kept paying. It's a free website too.
What
So
is it?
Song Trader.
See, put people on game.
Songtrader.com.
Song Trader.
Yeah. So those little websites are what's called micro syncs. So those are more for smaller creators. So YouTube channel, they're gonna want to, hey, I really love this song for a wedding video. I'm gonna pay you $50 for this wedding video for this song to use it for this. No. And those kind of websites really help you for that. And those are the first stages. So if your song starts making money on these websites, these micro syncs, such as Songtrader, Pond 5, then you can start reaching out to the bigger ones, such as Epidemic Sound. And those guys that you use for an art list and all that, they receive a ton of music all the time. And then they go through and they kind of pinpoint and select. And then I still haven't got a call back from Epidemic. And I've been pitching every year.
Word.
Every year. But
There's not like an open call like
there
once
is
a year.
once a year. It's an open
I
call once a
figured.
year and you got to submit and everyone's jumping on it. How those work is so you get what's called an upfront fee, a sync fee. So that's that $5,000. And then you get your publishing, your intellectual property and all your rights. Only if it's aired and if it's being performed. Internet is still tricky when it comes to the music world. Like a live stream on internet isn't considered as a live performance.
Who decides that though?
Oh, that's a good question. I have to ask ChatGPT about
You know
that.
what I'm saying? Well, that's that form of gatekeeping even today, right? Someone's making a decision to say this is that, this is that.
Yeah, and it's all kind of blurry. It's all kind of mixed. Like a birthday, for example, won't be even if you're paid to perform for a birthday, it's not considered a live performance. So there's a few details that you got to read in, and that's what's fun about the music industry today is that there's really two sides. There's the DIY musicians, independent hustler side, and then there's the music business side. Like if you really want to get a Grammy or you want to get nominated for a Nahuku Award,
Yeah,
you have to be registered as a songwriter. You have to be registered into the collection. You have to submit your songs in the proper industry format, which is that's where you start reading all these little details. Like sometimes on Spotify, you realize it says single, but there's like 3 songs. You're like, why is that a single? Should be an EP. Well, no, there's proper definitions for what is a single, what is an EP, what is an album. And so when you're submitting your songs for one of these music business awards, such as the Nahoku or the Grammys or whatever you want to submit to, then you have to fill out all that, and you realize all that industry standard stuff is, oof, we're not joking.
See, that to me is such a prohibitive factor for the creator who wants to create. Because now the creator who's creating 100% of the time turns to not to like diminish what you're doing, but now that creator's turned into 80% of my time is doing these contracts and such, right?
Yeah.
So again, the utopian future. I'm opposite of Justin, by the way. Shout out to Justin. Because dystopian, right?
Yeah.
His dystopian as fuck. Is what
he's
he self-proclaimed. And so I think we balance each other well because I'm like utopian as fuck.
Yeah.
And so I think, all right, how can, for example, Eric spend that 20% of his time, flip it? I mean, not just the 80-20 rule, but like flip it.
Yep.
If 100% of your time is doing that 20%.
Yeah. And is
that even something you want though? Like
that's something that I would love. And that's where a manager comes into account, or you have what's called sync agents, people that just represent your music to get in place. You have a bunch of different people that can join your team and help you with these things. But they all take a percentage.
Yeah.
Everything's negotiable in music. That's what's beautiful too. There's no rules. Everything's negotiable. 50-50 or 20 or whatever. And so usually like a manager will take like, again, everything's negotiable, so there's no rules. But a basic industry standard is like 20% of whatever you make.
Gotcha.
So if you're already not making that much, it's like, okay, well then I'm not gonna give out. I can't. There's nothing for me to give really, because you have to pay the website, you have to pay the distributor, you have to. I'm lucky that I make my own beats and I make all that. But artists that are just putting out music, they have to pay the producer to get the beat, rent out that beat for a certain amount of time. You got to read those contracts too, because if you're trying to pitch for TV and film, the contracts from all these online beats are all wrong, all messed up. You're not.
How so though?
Also, they have this one fine line in there that says they are allowed to remove your song after 3 years. No questions asked. So a guy, if you get your song placed in the new like Spider-Man or something, they're not going to remove it from the movie in like 3 years. You know, they're not even going to take the risk for a lawsuit or whatever, or because then the guy has the whole power. If you're the copyright owner, you have power over everything. And you don't have to be a copyright owner. That's also a good thing that a lot of people don't know. You don't have to register for the official copyright. As long as you have the project file and as long as you have registered it to the proper like PROs, Performance Rights Organization, as a songwriter, this song is mine, which is free to do, then you're good. Because lawsuits, everyone's worried about, oh, I don't want, I'm not putting my music online because I'm afraid it's going to get stolen, or I'm afraid it's going to get copyrighted, or this and that. Might happen. Try Shazam. If you can Shazam your own song, if something pops up on Shazam, then you're going to get YouTube copyrighted. Something in there is wrong. But that's a cool trick that I just learned the other day.
Shazam yourself, right?
Yeah, I had an artist and I was pitching this. He wanted to use like a Biggie sample or something. It was really well known, and I pitched it down a little bit and tried Shazam just to see if it would pick it up. Didn't pick it up. So I went, okay, so we're good. But it's still, you still have to credit it, but at least you won't get the copyright claim. And yeah, so you just have to. You have to be you have to know all of that kind of stuff. And I wish I could flip it. I wish it could be 80% making music, because that's the fun part. But the fact I'll be able to get there once you automate your system, you know.
I'm sure you could find ways that just simple, well, I say simple, but that's very relative term.
Yeah.
So you could obviously outsource some of the process. I'm sure there's, like you said, all right, I'll forfeit or I'll pay. The cost to me will be percentage points.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then I get to spend my time doing what I like.
Exactly.
And that could eventually make the pie grow.
Yes.
So the smaller percent don't matter. Like those things can happen. But I want to ask like a more deeply, possibly philosophical question here that I always think about, not just as a video guy, but as a person, as a creative, right? Even as a person who learned language as an adult. There's that phrase that there's nothing new under the sun.
No.
I think there's a second part to it, which I forgot. But the sky is the sky, the sun is the sun. Like there's nothing new. And so when we talk about ownership, it's really a construct. It's really a story that we subscribe to, much like money, currency.
Yeah.
Like these are stories we subscribe to. When it comes to sound, you're talking about monetizing sound, but like who owns it? Like who owns the chord C, or is that a key? Like, see,
that's very interesting.
Who owns sounds?
Yeah.
And so, okay, you're owning the rights to use them. You're buying usage rights for a certain term, for a certain campaign. I got you.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, we all use the same, well, let's just talk about the English world, English music world. We're using the same language. You haven't made up any new notes or keys. Yeah. Our ears haven't changed to pick up different sounds. That will change the whole music game. But like visually, right, there's a certain small part of the spectrum that we can see with our eyes. But once you use different tools, it opens up the spectrum.
Yep.
So like we're operating in this small space that we're all sharing all these sounds. Yeah. Nothing's new there.
No.
Right? But is it? Like, is there something new? Is it the individual who chooses to, again, I'm the more utopian side, but like thinking of it the other way, it's like nobody's doing anything new. You've done it before. Someone has said that word before. Maybe they didn't say it the way you said it, or with the cadence you said it, or the way you performed it on that video, all of that stuff, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, like who can own a lyric? Who can own a word? To me, that's like no one owns the English language.
Yeah, it's you can't really put a copyright on all that, and that's where there's all these. There's some very interesting lawsuits about that. Pharrell Williams from the Neptunes, from Big Pharrell, the man, got into a lawsuit for copyright infringement because the song that he made reminded of the feeling of another song. Ooh, this song feels like as good as like that old rhythm and blues song back in the day. I don't remember what song it was, but and he lost because the chord progression, the tempo, it was a whole different key, it was in a whole different tempo, it was a whole different thing, but just the feel of having that choir in the background and all that kind of stuff, it just made it feel like that other song. And he lost that case. And the fact of him losing that case made a big made a big shift because now we're all thinking like, oh, dang, what
We
do
could all
do?
get Pharrell.
Yeah, we can all get Pharrell. Like now we're all overthinking. Now it's all gone. But yeah, there's some fine rules. Again, that's music industry standard. Who puts the rules or whatever? But there's some fine rules on what can be copyrighted. Like you can't copyright a chord progression. You can't copyright E to D or this and that. That kind of things you can't. Same as, because I was also looking into this for because it's the same for when it comes to graphic designers also. It's like, what is copyrightable and all that kind of stuff.
So someone said to me like, oh man, this video is copying your style. And I thought about it. I was like, I don't own camera movement.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I don't own a push in, a dolly left. I don't own parallax.
Yeah.
Like Michael Bay made it real popular, right? But I don't own these things. If I emulate or innovate, if I imitate, whatever the case, it's like, but we all are.
Yeah. Stealing like an artist, it's called.
We all.
Wasn't that book? Is there a book? It's called Stealing Like an Artist?
Steal like an artist.
Yeah.
So I feel like to me, I look at it like I'm just participating.
Yeah.
I'm participating in this big thing that goes way beyond me, generational wise too. Because come on, man, we ain't the first to make music.
Exactly.
We ain't the first to beat drums.
No.
So today, though, in the commercial sense, again, we're subscribing to this story of e-commerce and all of these things. We were agreeing to use certain currencies. So in that realm, we'll make rules so that it's quote unquote fair.
Exactly.
We'll make agreements. But the reality is people have sang that song. People will sing that song.
Yeah.
Just like stories itself. I kind of want to get your take on the storytelling of music, because I've heard songs like we could both say we're storytellers. That's our overlap.
Yeah.
Video, music. Like we're both telling a story. We're going from A to B. There's a transition here. There's a main character. To a journey. Yeah. There's a late introduction in the second act. Who's this person? Or who's this instrument? Right. Like we both in that kind of storytelling realm. So I think like, man, there's no new stories either.
No.
There's no new stories. It's happened and it will happen. Right now it's just us happening type of thing. So it's kind of the philosophical deep part, right?
I see.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I feel like that gives me a certain lens to look at things. And it takes away that pressure, that self-imposed pressure on myself as a creator. Like I feel lifted. It's off my shoulders of like, be perfect, be perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it hasn't been perfect before. It's not gonna be perfect.
Exactly.
I'll just participate and put something out there.
Yep.
So when I do that and I see like people connect with it. And then the larger picture is like a collective story, but we're all just sort of not rehearsing, but we're reiterating mini stories. Yeah. And it might come out in the form of a beat. Yeah. It might come out in the form of a video. It might come out in the form of a poem. Yep. But we're all kind of just mini stacked stories on this larger one that we're telling together, which is 2023, 2024, America, Hawaii, this island or whatever. Yeah. So really like zoom out. So in that sense, the story, like what kind of, first of all, what is a structure of a song when you're, let's not even call it a song, because like let's say someone wrote a song, you're working with the artist, but like for you, when you're making a beat, how do you go from this is start to like finish?
So for everyone is so different and there's no rules in the process. So when it comes to when I make beats, I always have in mind the artist afterwards. So I don't want to put too much in. And so I really keep it just simple and I trust my gut. So and that's what I recommend. That's what every artist that I've worked with and the songs, like most of the songs that I love the most are the ones that took us like 30 minutes to make and no overthinking. And it was simple and it was easy. Like a drum, a guitar, a bass, and then you're just playing around with that arrangement and telling that story based on these three things. You know, you don't need a whole play happens like in one on stage, and you can still tell like a really good story with that. And so I just trust my gut. Some songs might last like forever, like this. So I have a new EP coming out with this artist Jay Tello, amazing songwriter, and he started recording with me, and he would send me some demos on his phone, and we all started the whole process. But this record has taken a long time, almost over a year to get out, just because I was overthinking some parts didn't feel right. And it's the same with the game. You spend hours editing a video or something, and then when it comes out, you also have to play You have to play the game of the marketing and pushing it out. But you saw this, you heard this song a gazillion times already.
Right.
And so, but no one else has. And if you don't do the process of just putting it out, which is very important, no one can discover you. And then you don't leave your little grain of salt in the world. And so
you like to think of who's going to be on the beat.
Yeah, first.
And how all the way until the marketing after.
Yeah, I don't think in particular like who is going to be on it, but I know that I'm creating the beat while leaving room for, I know it might feel empty. That's what I'm saying. A lot of my friends tell me, oh, I was missing something on this beat. Well, yeah, it's missing the vocal. There's no artist on here. And so it feels good right there. If I put something else or extra, then artist is going to come on and it's not going to sound as good. But that's why I have 2 separate Instagram accounts. And that's something I talk with Justin too about and I think we all go through it. Like you make music or you make videos, you want to make a bunch of different styles or different things or different edits. How to brand it doesn't really fit with my EDP beats stuff. Gotcha. I'm going to create another thing. and so, yeah. So
my friends are like, yo, I don't know which account to tag you in because you have too many. I'm like, but the reason I do is because I want that sort of, like you said, I do this over here.
Yeah,
I do this over here. And I know that these platforms sort of, they incentivize you to be consistent in your visual branding, in your content branding. Like, are you educational? But now you did this like out of the review or you did a reaction.
Like
making
this funny video now, what's going on?
You made a joke? Was that a joke? But if you just had jokes collected here in this album, which is a certain or a certain handle, I get it.
It's because social media is not for your I mean, how I'm trying to take it now, 2023.
Yeah.
Social media is not for friends and family. Social media is for your fans or your audience. And so I just saw this really cool, I have a good friend who just sent me this really good Instagram reel. And like, in podcasts they say, oh, I read this really good quote. I don't read no quotes, but there's a really good reel that gets me motivated. And it was what? It was like, your fans are not your friend. Your friends are not your fans. And so that's a big, big difference because
1000%.
Yeah, it's like, how can you support a friend that's an artist? It's easy and hard at the same time, but it's just social media is only for the people that love what you do. So if you make those kind of videos and all of a sudden you want to make like a funny video, create a new account for people that love to watch funny videos. And then they'll follow that and they won't be disturbed by, because that's how I roll as an audience member. It's like if I have a skateboard guy and all of a sudden he's starting to do rap, even though I love music, I was there for the skating, man. I wasn't there for the rap.
Well, I love friends are not fans. Yeah. That's true because, like, look, if I'm making this over here prime rib dinner and I know you're a vegetarian, we still friends.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm not gonna. I get it when you don't come to the barbecue cookout.
Yeah, I'm not
because you're not gonna be here for that.
No,
that's cool. And if you are, there's a lot. I'm just saying, there's a lot of that cross audience thing happening, but at large. That's also why I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to create these different accounts because I want to create different audiences.
Yeah.
And from those audiences who are not friends, I don't say, I'm not thinking my current friends I'm going to put into these different pools. I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking this is a lure I'm throwing out in the ocean that's got a specific catch and retrieval.
Yeah.
That's going to catch a certain species that I want to catch.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what this account is.
Yep.
I don't expect it to catch my friends in there.
Yeah, well, I don't expect you to hit a like or a comment every picture, every photo, whatever. It's just
you're the way I look at it too is like a magnet. You're creating a magnet, and you can be intentional with who it's going to attract.
Well, that's a good one, yeah.
And your friends might not land in that thing, like the vegetarian, vegan, like dietary options. People are like, I know your diet,
yeah.
and what I'm creating this dish for you.
Yep.
But it's not any shade to you.
No.
Like we don't even like. There's a lot of friends who we never even talk about, like YouTube, video, social media.
Yeah, and that's why I love talking with you because it's really lonely.
Yeah.
It's really, really lonely because you can't
There's a few, right?
Oh,
I know. The in real life conversations don't match the conversations you have when you're in the lab.
Yeah.
Or like this.
Exactly, in the lab, yeah.
This is a lab of sorts, right?
It is.
It's great to have you in here because we can sort of turn that valve on, like full blast.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're both in it. And the friend, that's an important point. I just don't want to like skim over that, is that your friends don't have to be your fans. And don't expect your friends to be your fans.
Exactly.
Especially when you're trying to monetize interest, especially in that zone. But when you get past that and you're monetizing skill, more friends might convert to your fans because they see the momentum, they see the growth, they see the success, whatever. But you can't have that expectation of, I'm gonna put this out for my friends to like, for my friends to share. Like, no.
My mom didn't buy my album this year. I don't get. She
Moms
didn't.
will buy 10
she
albums,
always
so-
buys my albums. She didn't buy my album this year. I was like, oof, that was an extra $10 I was counting on.
Shout out to moms out there buying your sons whatever they're putting
Always.
out.
She would bring me water bottles on stage when I was like 14.
Dude, my mom bought my I did a documentary in 2015.
Oh,
Crowdsourced it. Put a lot of my own money in there. Which I think about, I was like, dude,
so crowdsourcing is a whole different.
I spent like $4,000 or $5,000 at this is my brokiest days.
Okay,
like the broke. Like
that's where we spend the most.
This is when I'm on a 90-day visa, in and out of the country. This is Japan.
Okay,
in and out of the country every 90 days type of thing. Like I'm not supposed to be making money. I'm figuring it out, getting some money from monetizing my interest, turning into a skill. Right. This is that time. And I was like, I didn't even know how I had $4,000, $5,000, but I went hard. And shout out to everybody at Mugenjuku Dojo in Kyoto. Shout out to Jacques Paillet. Jacques
en français.
Jacques Paillet, yeah, he's from Reunion Island, which is
that sounds like a director's name, Jacques Paillet.
Apparently, it's kind of Paillet is kind of common. I think.
Pretty common. Yeah,
right?
There's a famous French soccer player called Paillet too.
So he shout out to him and his whole dojo, what they're doing out there in Kyoto, Japan. So the documentary was about them. And for me, it was a huge jump because I ain't never make no documentary, right? I traveled all over, shoot footage here and there. It was a huge project. But my mom bought she must have bought, I don't know how many copies. Like,
you gotta love it.
Shout out to moms because I bought another copy for my friend. I think she like it. I bought another copy for her. I think she like it.
Those are the fans. Those are go beyond friends, and you know what I mean. That's
love right there.
That's 100% love. But the cool thing is you can find fans that are just as they're just like your mom. So there's fans that will be there and that will not buy everything from you. I don't want to say it like that, but any cool idea that you have. I want to make this documentary about this dojo. I love this place. I love this thing. I want to do it. It's going to cost me this much to do. You're able to do it. You got to fund it. And now your mom, who's like, oh, I love it. The mom is a little more biased. But there are fans out there that will do that. And if you don't put yourself out there to find those, then it's a little bit rougher.
We crowdfunded. What was it? What was it? WeFunder. It was Indiegogo.
Oh, yeah. I've researched Indiegogo.
It was Indiegogo. So we crowdfunded, I think, 12.5K.
Wow.
Plus,
How long did it take?
Bro, but again, hey, this is not me, right? There was a whole dojo, a whole community behind it.
Yeah, but you launched.
I think it's a 30-day campaign, right?
Okay.
And so, of course, Pae's family, of course, the people in the dojo.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a community already ready to support it.
Yeah, which is great.
Right. And then on top of that, just some of the stuff that I had to just do. Right. I just did it before that. So it was a collective effort and I learned a lot personally from it. It wasn't necessarily I need to check because I don't know. It's still on Vimeo somewhere. It's one of those projects, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
where
it's
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 still up there. I just, I haven't. I need to check up on that. But
that's
baby,
the thing
you know
with
what
internet now. We got to look up and the old. There's still some
It's still
live
there.
shows I did when I was 14.
I gotta check that out. But I mean, that there's a lot of
That's not easy to do.
overlapping. Well, doing it is crazy because doing certain projects that I'm attracted to have that sort of intrinsic payoff.
Yeah.
The intrinsic payoff of I've never done it, or if I do that, that'll be almost like a check mark.
Yeah.
I did a documentary.
Yeah.
Or I traveled to that place to do this.
Yeah, you just have this feeling you have to do it.
Do you still get that?
Yeah, 100%.
For music, I've never done this genre.
And I think that and I still do, and that's what I did with the van. I had that one feeling. I was scrolling through Instagram. I was just separated. I had a new apartments, and month rent was crazy. Everything was crazy, and so I was scrolling through, and I see a van life ad, and I'm not ad, but just oh, My dog could be there. It's like an apartment.
Yeah.
My poop schedule is pretty on point. I don't need to worry about that too much. It's cheaper than rent. I could get a loan for the van, get a loan to have someone build it out, and then I can just make my music there, and it's perfect. And that would give me that extra, that maybe that little push on Instagram, or that might be the next new thing that's passioning me, is to make this music in the van, and so full in and jumping all in.
Which, by the way, check them out if you haven't checked them out. Want
to
see someone make beats?
Sell the van.
Oh, you trying to sell it?
Yeah, it's been 2 years.
Oh, okay.
2 years, and now it's just breaking down on me.
Word.
But I'm almost there. So I know that feeling of just like checking that thing off the list.
I got you.
I'm almost there. Like I almost had it how I had envisioned at the beginning 2 years back. And it's a good life lesson of just like, okay, well, it's just ups and downs and just kind of bumps on the road. So it might work, it might not work. And you have to know when to say stop, or you just keep going. And I just been keep going on it. And I'm almost there, but it's time to cut the losses. So
I feel you.
Yeah.
Turn in the chapter.
Exactly.
Right? You sort of got the juice out of that squeeze.
Yeah, and I found a beautiful new place that's really cheap, that accepts dogs. Like everything kind of fell on my lap. Everything kind of landed perfectly, and so it really kind of shows me, all right, time for a switch. That van was cool though.
Sorry, but we gotta wrap it up here.
Yeah.
No shout out to the bus system in Hawaii.
That was my bad. I'm not gonna criticize the bus system in Hawaii because they were actually pretty good.
You're right. Nah,
I should have zoomed in.
It's just confusing in that one spot. I know.
And it's the worst spot. Like if you're from Hawaii, you know, because it's that
it's
right in front of the water park. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Not shout out to the bus system.
But look, we're gonna, because look, I wanted to get into this timeline. You know what I mean? Like music to me is pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And from the very first time when I can remember like turning on my creativity was coloring on like a blank sheet in no particular, there's no lines, right? It's just blank sheet. Yeah. And that's kind of metaphorical too, like figuratively speaking, the blank sheet.
It's beautiful.
And then using just every crayon from the box and just sort of making my own like jagged edge Tetris pieces, but just filling it up.
Yeah.
Right. And there's somewhat of a pattern in there, right? Even if you look at like a stone wall, or you look at the night sky, it's randomness, but you can find patterns and make stories, which is like the way people navigate with the stars, right? You make sense out of the pattern and you make a story, so you remember it, you can pass it on. So I feel like we're both on that journey of just finding these patterns, creating these patterns, participating in the e-commerce that is available to us now with all these cool tools. And you know what? This is an ongoing conversation. I definitely want to have you back in here. I definitely want to have you like break down more of what you do. This short time is not enough to do it justice.
Yeah, I know.
It's not enough to do it justice.
And I'm from the YouTube school, so I talk a lot too because I'm used to doing the YouTube stuff. So sometimes I take off on a monologue, and that's what happens.
Hey, but you know what? I hope you guys got a lot of value. I hope you guys got a lot of insight out of this conversation. Let us know what other questions you have, because you went over some heavy stuff that we just kind of, probably over a lot of people's heads who are in that mode of like, I'm interested. I want to do it. What is that acronym you just said? What is this? So like, go ahead, drop some comments, and also be sure to support your man, Eric DuBois. Go ahead, shout out, where can people find you?
Yes. So my name is Eric DuBois. So you can just Google Eric DuBois, DuBois. I have to do that Starbucks. But EDP-Beats, that's EDP-Beats. Too late. I'm stuck with that name now. Got the domain and everything. But you'll hopefully my content is good enough for you to memorize the name. But EDP_Beats on all social media, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. I go live every Friday from a studio spot in Chinatown, and we just make beats or have an artist that comes through. And yeah, there's still a lot more to talk about. I know. But hang in there, keep it doing. I only have not that much followers, but there's money coming in. So don't think that it's like the end of the world. You need 10,000 or you need 100,000 or whatever. You just do it.
Okay, let's end on that. Fans aren't friends, or friends. Don't expect your friends to be fans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because the other way around is no.
Yeah,
fans
my
are
bad. Don't expect your friends to be automatic fans.
Yeah,
but also, the money can come in before you have the followers.
Yeah,
before you have the check, before you're verified by a large platform with millions of users. No, the money can come in, as you proved. Thank you, man. This is just part one.
Thank you.
This is just a short little snippet. We're going to do it again.
I love it.
Thanks, brother.
Love it.
Thank you.